Welcome to my lounge again. I am Osasana Quarry. Last time we met briefly and I showed you about who Osasana Quarry is. I told you about myself a little bit, where I've come from, what I love to do, which is a lot of traveling. I showed you brief clips on that, where I've been in the last year. And today we are talking about, as I promised last time, we are talking more about my blogs that I've written about. I started off my first blog, Freedom, What is Your Price? It's the question I started with. And today we're going to speak a bit about that. I hope you've read the blog, and if you haven't, I hope this is the right time to go and read the first blog. Remember, it is a storytelling. I took you on a journey, storytelling. So please make sure you read the blogs in sequence, otherwise you miss out on part of the story. On that note, please like, subscribe to my channel. I hope to engage with you. Do chill, relax, and connect with me on this journey. And I look forward to having you on board with me. Let's speak about freedom. What is your price? I started off with a calculator. My featured image was me calculating how much I need as an accountant, because I am that, to purchase my freedom. So I ask you a question. Can freedom be purchased? Can you buy freedom? Is it something that you can have so much money and you say, oh yes, I bought my freedom, success. I'm so successful, so freedom is under my belt. Is that something that you can say? What is freedom in the first place? And can freedom be purchased? I had my calculator in my hand, but spoiler alert, I failed to purchase my freedom. So the question of freedom is a very sensitive topic, I know, because our freedom fighters have done so much for us. They lost their lives, fought so hard since the last 400 years to combat slavery. Most parts of the world, thankfully, slavery has been eradicated. But we have freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom to think, freedom to act, freedom to vote, equal voting rights. We also have human rights, rights. Everyone has the right to express themselves as they like, to speak as they like, to act as they like, to think as they like, to do whatever they like, basically. And that's been a very long road to today. And I'm so grateful for it. I don't take it for granted. But is that true freedom? In South Africa, we say the born free is the babies born post 1994. They are born free. But if you go ask a born free, are you free? I'm sure the person will pause and be taken aback by that question. Because I wasn't born in South Africa, so I was born free because I was born after our independence day in Nigeria. But I haven't felt free. Because our ancestors fought for our freedom. I haven't felt free. And that's why I turned a new leaf in 2010. New Year's Eve, I was mapping out my agenda, my freedom agenda. Can you map out your agenda of freedom? But I caught myself mapping out my agenda to freedom because I had been under my parents' roof while I was studying, while I was a child, obviously. At 18, I went to university. I was still at home. I studied from home. My parents let me go to Cape Town like I wanted to study at the University of Cape Town. I had to study at the University of Pretoria. I go from home. I had to, because the world is scary. The world is an evil place. My parents tried to protect me from the world. And I felt caged. I felt in a cocoon. And my cocoon was about to break. And I was so excited. I also had some merit on my side. I was brought up in a Christian home under the guidance of my parents who are ministers. I also finished university with merit. I finished with academic honorary colors. And the future was bright by default. Freedom was something that I could not fall short of. I just had to map it out. I got this great job, an article clerk, my first job with Deloitte, a big international global accounting firm, Big Four, you know. And I was about to leave home for the first time, leave the confinements of by my parents, you know. I was going to Johannesburg from Pretoria, the big apple of South Africa, of Africa. I was moving. Life was going to be great. I had to map out my freedom agenda. But now I have to acquire keys. Do you feel freedom intertwined in your very essence? I asked that question in my blog. Inextricably intertwined. Do you feel freedom inextricably intertwined in your very essence? Do you feel, if you're born free, do you feel like, oh, everything is great in this world? I'm free because I'm successful. I'm a chartered accountant in South Africa, or I'm a doctor, I'm a cardiologist, I am an investment banker, I am this, I am that, I am an actuary, I am an architect, I am a lawyer, I am a professional. Do you feel that equates to freedom? I ask this question because I don't feel that way. I feel freedom is something that cannot be bought. But I thought, my younger self, that's why I'm pausing this today, to reflect on the path I walked and my younger self had walked, and I'm with compassion, with a lot of compassion for my younger self, because I want my older self, or my current self rather, which is older, 10, 15 years older, to not make the same mistakes I made as in my early 20s. So, in my view, freedom cannot be calculated with a calculator, cannot be mapped out on a chart. It can only be found by self-discovery, questioning the paths you're taking, questioning what you've done in the past, and what place you ended up arriving at. And is that a place of peace? Is it a place of joy? Is it a place of contentment? Is it a place of unending tranquility, where you are content irrespective of whether you have money today or you don't, because life happens. Your house can burn down tomorrow, God forbid, but anything can happen. You can lose your loved one, you can lose the love of your life, but all these things, you can still be in a place, find yourself in a place that you are still find inner peace, inner joy, love for yourself, irrespective of whether others love you. But to get there, you have to pause, you have to reflect. You have to ask the question, is freedom, what is true freedom? Our freedom fighters have done a lot for us, but the inner work has to be done to acquire real freedom, true freedom, that is everlasting, that is not transient like happiness, where you acquire a car, you acquire a house, you buy yourself a mansion, you buy yourself an X5 or a Ferrari, and you show your friends, you put it on social media, and that's it. What happens after that? After a few months, hey, the whole world has seen it, you need the next high. That is not what freedom is, or success. As one of my comments came through, it said, freedom is a transformative journey. So you have to take it, after all being born free, living in a world of freedom and freedom of speech and human rights, and everyone has equal rights. Hopefully, we are still working on that, unfortunately. But you still need to go on a journey to get to the place where you find true freedom. Let's speak about the liberating items, the keys. Because if freedom is not inextricably intertwined, it's not inextricably intertwined in your very essence, then we need to question or work on getting to a point where freedom is inextricably intertwined in your very essence. So the keys, I spoke about keys, the keys to freedom. Some people, I grew up not celebrating birthdays, but So I didn't get my 21st birthday key, symbolic key like some people get. Some people get keys to a car. Some people just get a symbolic key telling you you have free to do what you want. You're not under your parents' guidance or guardianship. On your 21st birthday, I didn't get any of those keys. Maybe that would have given me the illusion of freedom. But thankfully, I didn't have that to elude me about being free. But my question today is, does the key, if you got a key, like I did, I had to purchase mine myself because no one could buy me mine but myself, unfortunately. Or fortunately, because I had to work hard for everything I earned, which I'm grateful for. It made me rigid and made me who I am today. I wasn't spoiled or as a child. I was made to realize that money is a hard resource that you have to work for. So I worked for each of mine. Mine was my bachelor pad. Mine was my key to my Yaris. I was in the driving seat, driving my own car. Miss Independent. I got my makeup. I got all I needed to achieve the title in a new social class, Miss Independent, at 22. But I felt, oh wow, it was burdensome. I had to, because let me tell you a bit about being a chartered accountant in South Africa. Becoming a chartered CASA, as we call it, chartered accountant in South Africa, it means that you have to study for 7 years. Almost becoming a doctor, I know. So first 3 years you study your degree, your undergraduate degree. You do your postgraduate for a minimum of 1 year. After that, 4 years in your belt minimum. And then you have to do 3 years post-studying, working in your articles, where you work either on an audit firm or the bank or whatever. In financial management, it's called tip versus top. I did tip, so I worked at Deloitte. Deloitte hired me. And I worked in this great environment where I got massive skills. I was able to work overseas. I worked across Africa. I worked in the US. You know, it was a great experience. But when you start out, you earn peanuts, real peanuts. I think I started off earning 3,000 rand or something after tax, less than 5,000 rand. You can barely afford to pay your rent then in 2010. You can barely afford to buy a car. You have to get a credit card as soon as possible, as soon as you have a credit record. So I'm like, maybe I should go back home. Maybe home was not so bad after all, you know? So with those keys, I thought I was acquiring to my freedom. But I found myself in a burdensome place. Very expensive lifestyle. I couldn't afford it. I had to take loans to afford it. I had to take a credit card to afford it, which brought its own problems. Now you have to pay it every month and you don't have enough money to pay it. So how do you balance out? It's a rat race. It's a crazy world we live in, where you work so hard, you studied for 7 years, 7 whole years, but you can't afford to pay for the basics. Just a car to get around, and a place to sleep, and food to eat. You couldn't balance it out. But these keys, I thought, were going to acquire me my freedom. Just think about that for a moment. Should freedom be burdensome? Should it be expensive? Someone in the comments said, freedom can actually be an entry into slavery, because we set ourselves unrealistic expectations, untamed desires, with no accountability. We're just chasing what other people are doing. They buy a car, we have to match their car. We have to buy a better car. It's a competition. All these external things we acquire doesn't give us freedom. It just gives us happiness, which is transient. So she said, this comment I received struck me so greatly. She said, freedom can just be an entry into slavery. This external freedom will crave successes that we have to brag about, post on social media, post to tell the whole world about, that has to be visible, that has to be loud. True freedom is within. It's the one that gives you peace, the one that allows you to sleep comfortably, that don't have insomnia at night, that doesn't give you a heart attack or high blood pressure or put you on medication, the one that is not a rat. I want to be a bee. that flies. Let me tell you a bit about my colors. It's yellow and purple. Purple is royalty. It is my favorite color, as well as yellow. Yellow tells me about the sun, which gives us our source of energy, and this is our solar system, our planet. It gives us the bees also, which creates our ecosystem, is also yellow. So I want to be like a bee that flies, not like an ant that works super hard. You can either be a bee, in my opinion, in my own opinion, you can be a bee, an ant, or a rat. I'm sorry. A bee creates the ecosystem, they fly. I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. You know, you create your own ecosystem, you feed others, you're giving to others, you're not dependent on others. But when you're a rat, you're in the rat race, climbing a ladder, the corporate ladder always. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Life is a choice. Everything in life is a choice. I choose to be an entrepreneur. I choose to create, to help feed other people. I choose to give back. I choose to fly. I choose to create my ecosystem where I live. I love my life. I love the life I've created for myself. Yes, I had to work for 10 years to do that, but I've done that. I had to be an ant. I had to be a rat, where your boss just dictates what you must do, tramples on your feet. You know, an ant, when you step on it, what happens? It dies. You crush it. Being crushed by your boss, being crushed by the toxic environment you work at. Or you can be an ant, which the Bible says goes to the ant, thou sluggard, consider her ways and be wise. An ant is wise, but it's still so little on the ground, it crawls. And what happens when you the human being, you step on the ant? Oops, it's gone. So I want to be a bee that flies, that you can hardly, when you hear the bee buzzing, you run. My company is called Bees Buzz Tech, to help with small, medium entities, help them with developing their business. That's me creating my ecosystem. So these are the choices we make. But it doesn't talk about freedom. Your success, or I'm a chartered accountant, that doesn't tell me I am free. What tells me I am free is going back to the voice, understanding where this liberating keys that I thought would give me my freedom, why I felt that way. That's why I'm pausing to reflect on my younger self, my 22-year-old self, that felt that by acquiring these keys, my bachelor pad, my Yaris, my makeup, and all the other clothes and all the other accessories I bought along the way to look good in corporate, and to be able to have that persona, that mask, wear that mask, that would give me a good shot of being that big person, that's ego, and growing that ego. I would speak about in another episode. But now we are reflecting and we are pausing. Why? What led to me thinking? Is it the system of this world that is telling us that acquiring this consumerism is the way to freedom? Is consumerism the way to freedom? For me, it is minimalism. I practice minimalism. Minimalism is about having the bare minimum, removing clutter, removing the noise, so you can hear the clear crystal voice, spending time meditating, spending time being mindful of what thoughts are coming to your head, because the thoughts coming to your head is a reflection of what the environment you're living in, the people you associate with. So associating with people that are all about the external things, acquiring, you'll find yourself, people say, show me your friend and I'll show you who you are. That is very true. So you have to cut back on people, associating with people who are all about the material stuff. If you want to find true freedom, which is found within, which is found in tranquility, which is found in peace, in joy, in contentment. I once told my husband this. I want to be content, I want to be peaceful. If my house burns down, I don't have a place to stay and I have to stay in a shelter, I want to still find peace. If I have no food to eat except bread and tea, or rice and tea, white rice, with no sauce, or no stew, I want to be content. That's a place I want to get to. I don't want to be stressed out. That's what I call true freedom. That is what I call true freedom. Another comment said, freedom should not be dictated by your success or what you've acquired. It should rather be come from it should be on an individual and soul specific basis. You have to dig into your soul. It comes from within. It is not external. So today, if I leave you with anything, I want you to know that freedom shouldn't be burdensome. It shouldn't be expensive. And you should always be mindful of who you associate with, what you're thinking about. Minimalism is, I call it the fullness of life. It is where you get to be your full, the fullest you can be is when you find minimalism. When you get rid of the clutter, the noise. Is the voice in your head the problem? You can only answer that question if you're mindful. So please, I beg you, I ask of you to take a moment today, if there's anything you can do for me. You can't map out your freedom agenda. You can't acquire freedom, not even with the most expensive calculator or the most expensive amount of money. You can't buy, even if you buy a plot of land, you buy an island, that wouldn't give you freedom. Yes, you roam around the island on your yacht or whatever, but you have to pay for that yacht. That's a cost that will come to you. They say more money, more problems. I hope I've left you with something useful today. So next week we'll be speaking about the next blog item, the voice in your head, which actually stems from the question why the voice was telling me in my head to acquire all these things, and those will give me freedom. But we have to question whether the author, who is the author of that voice? Is it you? Is it the people around you? Is it your circumstances? Is it your work environment? Is it your social environment? So please, if you enjoyed the content I'm providing to you, I'm sharing with you, please like, subscribe. I leave you again with peace. Firstly, peace, love, lots of love. Find the love within you, and lights, a huge light bulb of lights. Till next time, like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye. God bless.